we had 3 on our lawn, and there was a little corner of the block there who were all for the same candidate. So, you know, it seemed like, but there were signs on people's lawns that I thought, that's odd, you know, that they would have that sign on their lawn.
Well, I saw signs, for instance, I saw a Palangan sign and a Mellet sign on the same front yard, which I thought
that could be a husband-wife thing.
Yeah, Terry, I think, coined that phrase before when I talked with her years ago, that during the Conroe and another one, not my race, but may have been Leo Green, that they had arguments in the household.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember you saying that at one time.
Yeah.
Even the families are splitting over this race, and it was a race previous to.
During the old election seasons, you could get out of the Bowie Inn, and the place was animated with arguments. Bar arguments.
People arguing. Yeah, even, it's just, I don't know, are people, I can't decide whether it's complacency. I don't think so. It may be a compliment to city governments of the past that they're satisfied.
I don't know.
You know, I don't know. I don't know how to explain
I lean towards complacency.
You do?
And I also lean toward the fact that getting information, these people just weren't getting it in this election.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big point, I think.
Bert and I have tried, but of course with our limited viewership, even though we're worldwide on YouTube, we emphasize that there is an election and it is important. The city council is of great importance, as you well know, and I don't think people realize it.
Well, nobody does. You know, nobody does the sorts of things they used to do that always stirred people's anger and all that. Using a fake name to write a letter to the editor. And you know, it wasn't anything as obvious as Dudley Do Right, but it came close.
Came pretty close.
And Jerry Devlin was great for that.
He was a master at it.
Yes, he was. And, you know, a hyphenated last name, which if you said it real fast, said something else than what the name, you know, it was really, but it was fun. It wasn't awfully uplifting maybe, but it was fun. It was fun.
But you know, Terry, you hit a good point. The letters to editor, I think it's a part of the election over the years. I always felt like there should have been some editorial discretion on the last week before the election, because if a letter came in, and some did, in the past that I've read, too late to answer them.
Those were the letters they wrote in about him.
Right. Some of them are false. And this one person is a strong letter writer, and they wrote recently, this particular person, and it was false. And that is why I say that last week for letters, any political letter I would have not even have.
Even those have shrunk down. Do you remember, we used to run 3 pages of letters for about 6 weeks. I think I counted
they're great.
7 or 8 letters to the editor endorsing a candidate. That was it.
And I've had people, you know, say that, even John, when you and I were there, that was this one part of the paper that they faithfully read. The letters
absolutely.
To the
That's
editor.
true.
You know, not the stuff that we wrote, but the stuff that just plain ordinary citizens.
Letters and Aunt Agatha.
Yeah, that's true.
That was it. And you know, we forgot about Aunt Agatha, Terry. We've invited her to come on, you know.
She won't come?
Not yet, but we're still working on it.
Well,
John,
you know,
she's motorcycling across the country.
Well, I would like to say I am not Aunt Agatha. the drawing of Aunt Agatha and the reference to the Packard, you know, it's not me. Although people did accuse me of writing it.
Oh, yeah.
And I said,
no,
imagine. It's not me.
Yeah,
Never was.
Then they accused Annette Esther Held of writing it, and accused everybody who was ever the City Hall reporter. Now, since the City Hall reporter doesn't really exist.
No, do they cover city council meetings?
Rather sadly.
It's,
you know, a 10-inch story, and usually it's not totally on the mark, but the coverage that we're used to, that we did, is no longer there.
Not there.
And it's not the editor's fault. He just has no staff. Yeah,
well, it's interesting, John. What do you think about, I can't remember where I read it, because I read a lot about newspapers, you know, being a dying breed. But the Los Angeles Times cut their newsroom staff from 1,100 to 600 and something.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Baltimore Sun, very similar. Now, I think there was some fat in newsrooms in those big papers, because they had so many specialists, you know, that would write one kind of story maybe once a month or something. But still, in an area the size of Los Angeles and spread out as wide as Los Angeles is, to cut it in half.
Well, if you remember back, there was a time when, in addition to a sports person and a sort of another correspondent, we had 5 reporters.
Yeah.
Do you realize the Bowie Blade News now does not have a full-time reporter? Not one.
I didn't realize that.
They have a part-time, that guy that does the police, Aiello, he's part-time. They've got David Emanuel.
He's local, is he not?
Yeah, he lives local.
Yeah, I think he lives in South
David
Bowie.
Emanuel, and then this guy that comes to City Hall is a Capitol reporter. He probably knows about as much about Bowie as Jack Johnson does.
Well, see, but Bert kind of made that point. I think living here was helpful.
Oh, very, very much so.
I had the advantage of having a pretty historical memory of how Bowie, developed. So you could,
Well, what year did you move here?
1963.
63. Yeah, you got me beat. I came in 71.
So it was, it just was. I don't know, and well, of course, Jerry Devlin was here. I think he moved about the same time as I did. So you had a lot of historical memory about the city.
Yes.
Which it's just it isn't that it isn't there. I don't think they're really interested in having it there.
No, they're not.
Which is, and that's the shame. That's the shame of it.
Have you seen this column that appears periodically in the Blade News by some guy who lives in California and hasn't been here in 30-some
yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, what? He was going on recently about the bowling alley at Free State Mall. It's gone. It's not there.
Well, I didn't know that until he asked people to send in pictures or something to this address in California. And I thought, what is this? It's good to know the history of a place, but it's also good to know what's happening now.
Yes.
And clearly, he's not going to know that.
Oh, no, he hasn't been here in decades.
Yeah, but
his first column was very interesting because I thought so. The first column I saw there,
yeah, but it's the same thing over and over.
I know now, but I couldn't believe he was not a resident now because he knew what was happening, you thought, because he knew all the old places, and we talked about the Hilltop area and the Hilltop Inn, he mentioned that. And it's a shame after that he seemed to think he was still here in his writing, and everyone knew he wasn't.
The purpose of it eludes me. Maybe we get Kathy Lee Gifford to do a column.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, there's probably a no-charge column.
Although she lived in West Annapolis, not Bowie.
That's right.
Bowie was known as West Annapolis in her book.
I had a niece who lived in the Washington area, had quite a large family, and they essentially, I guess, they lived in Gaithersburg, but on their Christmas cards, their address was always West Potomac.
Oh, West Potomac.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So I thought, she's the...
Gaithersburg's not that bad either.
No, and she's the Kathy Gifford of...
Montgomery County.
Yeah. I don't know, John. It's sad. It really is sad because I think the... I don't know, the spirit of Bowie that once was is not around anymore. There's not the community feeling that there were.
There isn't, no. People are trying to perpetuate that myth, but it just is not true.
Yeah, I agree with you. I read that all the time, that Bowie being, such a wonderful place. Well, it is a nice place.
Yeah, but it's not what it was.
But it's not, it's not, it's like churches that try and say, we are a community and we're all, we're all in this together.
Right.
But in reality, there's this group and that group and, all that. But there aren't even groups like that anymore.
No, there aren't. All the service clubs are gone, as we have mentioned. The Kiwanis is gone. The Lions apparently are gone. And everybody's gone. And we got a school board member who I can't even remember his name. The county council person is not a Bowie product, really. It's just not. Everybody lived here. Everybody knew each other in those days, and it's gone. Don't you agree?
I agree. It's really amazing how it changed so rapidly too, and I think it had a lot to do, Terry and John, with a lot of our population around the time we first met and all. They moved away.
True.
Now, for a while there, we had like my son moved into Bowie with his home and all. I mean, stayed in Bowie. But that may still be happening, but they have other activities.
Yeah.
They have the soccer, and I'm still convinced of what killed a lot of the Rotor Club, the Kiwanis, Rotor, effective Rotor, and the Kiwanis, is computers.